What's up, guys? Rick here with your betting and one and done preview for this week's ZOZO Championship. Again, just to get this out of the way in front of a video, this tournament is going to start around 6 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday evening. So make sure you get your bets in, make sure you get your lineups in, make sure you take care of all your business early this week. Also, I was able to confirm the Jock Market Power Hour, that's Stock Market DFS, that is going on Tuesday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. So it's normally Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be Tuesday this week. Lots of money to be made over there in that market, and you don't want to miss out on that. Rick Run Good YouTube channel is the place for it. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to look through the tournament predictor. We are going to chat through some potential head-to-head matchups, and if you have a one and done, which I know a lot of you do, we'll talk through some options there as well. Let's get it. This is the tournament predictor tool on RickRunGood.com. It simulates the event 1,000 times, and it takes those results, compares them to odds from 5 major sports books, and sees if there's any value. That's really how this works. To me, the results are interesting, but not surprising. So I have four golfers that won the simulation over 8% of the time, and then that is basically a 3% gap on the rest of the field. And I think that makes sense. It's Will Zalatoris, Xander Schauffele, Collin Morikawa, and Hideki Matsuyama. To me, and to the model, this is a tier of its own and should be treated accordingly. So when we break down this tier, and also, to me, there's a significant drop-off not only after these guys, but a couple more guys where you probably want to live at the top and bottom of this board. I'm not sure the middle is necessarily the place to live, just because the best players are at the top. And then after that, it's pretty wide open. Let's go for the top and the bottom. So Zalatoris and Xander Schauffele both won about 10.5% of my simulations. And there's a couple of things to note here. Xander Schauffele is being treated like he is a prolific winner on the PGA Tour. And do not get me wrong, Xander is awesome. I love Xander. His game is phenomenal. He's been very unlucky to only have his last PGA Tour win to be the Century Tournament of Champions. That was 3 years ago, 2019, coming up on 3 years. He's been incredibly unlucky for that. He's played much better. And you know, whether it's the staggered start to Tour Championship where he didn't get credit for a win, or it's the Olympics, which don't really count as a win for his PGA. It's a weird situation that we have a guy literally almost 3 years removed from his last official PGA Tour victory, and he is 5-1, 5.5-1, 6-1, 6.5-1, depending on where you are looking. He's being priced like a prolific winner. And Collin Morikawa, who is actually a prolific winner on the PGA Tour, in most cases is as short or longer. So both of them are 6.5-1 at Caesars. FanDuel actually opened Morikawa as a favorite, or at least shorter odds than Xander. And DraftKings has a pretty significant gap in the other way. Morikawa is 7-1 there. Xander is 5.5-1. So if you're trying to decide between these two guys, you want to shop it. I'm not sure either of them are particularly interesting in the outright market this week with 78 players at this price. It's just hard to pull off. Zalatoris really gets a lot of credit from my model for the ball striking. That's the best part of his game. The approach play on a course like this, I think it's going to come in handy. It's heavily weighted. So he comes out winning my simulation 10.6% of the time, which makes him a value across the board, because for the most part, depending on where you're buying him, his implied odds to win this event are like, 5-6%, maybe a little bit higher than that. So I have him winning nearly twice that much. You probably have to bet Zalatoris if that's the path you want to go down. And then Hideki Matsuyama, also a value across the board, winning 8.7% of my simulations. He's either 12-1 or 14-1. All of those numbers provide small value, not huge value like you see from Zalatoris' number. It'll be incredibly difficult to probably bet any of these guys this week. I don't think you can bet Xander or Morikawa at this short of a number. Zalatoris, I understand the model likes, but he still hasn't won. Maybe this is a good place for him to get it done, right? Maybe this is a place for him to get, although the weird thing is he's not really a prolific winner on the Corn Ferry either. When he was having that dominating season on the Corn Ferry, I think he maybe won once, but he was just piling up top 20s. Maybe you just blindly bet Hideki, finished runner-up here to Tiger 2 years ago on home soil, lean into the ball striker. Maybe you just blindly bet Hideki, but there's a really good chance I bypass kind of the entire top tier here and start my card somewhere further. It probably won't come. You know what? It might come with Johnny Vegas, which I know is a crazy thing to say, right? That's where we're at. But look at the discrepancy here. DraftKings has him at 28-1. You can't bet him there. Caesars has him at 35-1. You can definitely bet him there. And PointsBet has him at 40-1. You can definitely bet him there. So you're going to want to shop this. If you haven't signed up for any of those books, go to rickrungood.com/bets. That is where you can see what your current best offer is. And you can get the best offer for signing up for those. You get paid. I get paid. It's really good. Vegas is going to have to dodge a really poor putting week, right? That's what we know. He's horrible on Ben. He's basically a bad putter in general. But look at the ball striking numbers. He's been phenomenal off the tee for a long time, right? And he's long and he's accurate enough. The approach play he's gained in, 9 of his last 10 of his last 12. The putter has, it has cooperated at times. We've seen him finish runner-up at the 3M Open. He played well enough at the Olympics, runner-up at the Palmetto, kind of that type of field, right? Kind of a weaker field, much weaker than we saw at the CJ Cup last week where he finished 14th. You still get the 4 guaranteed rounds. He didn't gain strokes putting last week, but he was great from tee to green. I would not fault you for betting Johnny Vegas here. I think this thing's pretty wide open. I also don't mind Cameron Tringale, but probably in more of a matchup / top 10 / top 20 market, because again, can he win? Can he actually win this golf tournament? It's unfortunate to see Rickie Fowler already, just one good week, slice him to 25-1, which, we were a week early. We played him at the Shriners in DraftKings, or actually I bet him at the Shriners to win. Played well on Friday, missed the cut, but he has a five round stretch right now, which he's playing really well. I was hoping not to see a number this short, because I actually do think the metrics look really good for Rickie over his last 5 rounds. It was Rickie who led the field from tee to green last week. It was Rickie who led the field in strokes gained off the tee last week. He still lost strokes putting. If that's his DNA, if he gets back to rolling the rock, plays a little bit better on Sunday, gets his juices flowing again, I really like Rickie's chances here. I just, unfortunately, trying to bet this at 25-1 or 20-1 at FanDuel seems like a fool's errand. After that, it's dart time. Right? Time to throw some darts. Here are a couple of darts. Emiliano Grillo, 45-1 at DraftKings. That's the best number available. He closed with a 62, I believe it was, on Sunday. Gained a ton of strokes on the field. Always love to see that. I don't mind that. Keegan Bradley won 2.5% of my simulations. You can get him as long as 40-1. The interesting thing about Keegan is this season, he has actually, over, I think it's 6 total rounds he's played this season. Yes, over this season, he is actually a small positive putter in those 6 rounds, which is worth noting because last year he was losing a half a stroke per round with the flat stick. So if he can just be a 0, lean into the ball striking on a course that I think is going to reward it, I don't mind Keegan. And we've seen him win tough fields before, right? He won a BMW championship, or not tough fields. I wouldn't even call this a tough field. I don't know what I would call this. I would say he can win this field. So Keegan, I think, is worth a dart throw. Adam Schenk worth a dart throw, right? So here's Adam Schenk, 50 or 60-1, 61 at PointsBet, 50 elsewhere across the board. He has been knocking at the door. Hasn't opened up for him yet. But here's what we have going on with Mr. Adam Schenk. The 2 skill sets, approach that I'm showing you right now, and putting. When those get hot, he's dangerous. 3rd place finish at the Shriners, 4th at the Barracuda, 4th at the John Deere. That's just all in his last 9 starts. So 3 top 4 finishes in his last 9 starts. Feeling good. Probably feels great about his game. Didn't play last week and make the immediate trek from Vegas to Japan. I don't mind Adam Schenk here. I really don't. I don't mind going back to that. The other ones, I would just be firing I'm going to throw a buck on Takumi Kanaya. 66 to 1 at BetMGM. That's the best number that's currently available. He was the world's number one amateur for 50 plus weeks. He is very, very good on the Japanese tour. He's going to be right at home. He's a good player, and he's being priced pretty appropriately, but I wouldn't mind trying to root for that. And then other than that, the only other one that really stands out to me, and again, this is just going to be the reason I can fire off so many of these is these are all cheap, right? When you start building your card out and I'm probably not starting at the top. This is probably gonna be the biggest card of the year for me because I can fire a bunch of little bets on a bunch of long shots. Harry Higgs. Harry Higgs is someone we've been tracking for a couple of weeks now. He had himself a great stretch in Vegas. He had 2 top 30 finishes. He finished, I think T9. Yeah, T9 last week at the CJ Cup. Gained 4 strokes on approach. I watched him play at Shriners. I thought he looked good. The game is rounding into form. Maybe he just goes out and wins this thing. He certainly does not lack the confidence to do so. So that's what I'm going to do. My approach is going to be just throw a bunch of darts. That's probably my approach this week. Let's head over to the head-to-head matchup tool. This is, again, on RickRunGood.com, as is everything that you see. I'm going to shorten my time frame to 2021, which is actually getting pretty long at this point, pretty large sample. And the idea is I can pit any 2 golfers against one another and see the likelihood that they win in a 4-round matchup. There are 2 that are standing out that nearly every single book is offering. One is Collin Morikawa versus Xander Schauffele, and I'm very interested to see how this shakes out. Yeah, I have Morikawa, a small favorite here, -130. I have him winning this about 56% of the time. So depending on the line that you're getting, this could be a bet on Morikawa, probably more of a lean than an actual, I don't know what you want to call it, full unit wager. But that's one that I'm continually that I'm seeing. And the other one is Hideki versus Zalatoris, because it's very clear there's kind of like this 4 guys at the top, and it's like 2 and 2. Xander, Collin, and then Hideki and Zalatoris. So we run Hideki and Zalatoris through the other one, and this is a darn near tie. I have Zalatoris winning it the tiniest bit more often, 50.3% of the time. So probably, unless you've got a one-off book that's giving you something really special, you probably cannot find a bet here in this situation. The other one that I'm interested in, and I saw this one too, Fowler and Fleetwood, because these are really 2 guys that have not been themselves and have not been all that impressive over the course of the last 18 months. I have Tommy Fleetwood winning that one 62% of the time. So maybe that is a bet on Tommy over Rickie, but man, it's a little bit scary, isn't it? The eye test, Rickie looked good last week. I think there's a lot to take away. Tommy looks good for 1 round, but I'm really concerned about Tommy. You look at the ball striking numbers, and I actually went and looked this up on the Holy Grail. This season and the last 2 seasons, Tommy Fleetwood combined off the tee and approach, negative. He's a negative ball striker. It's a small number. He's like -0.1 per round, but that's his game. To see him be a negative it was like 106 rounds I had on him. That's scary. That's concerning. So I'm not nearly as bullish on Tommy as maybe the model is. So this is one that kind of doesn't really reconcile with me. Watching what Rickie did last week in 1 round at the Shriners makes me feel better than what I've seen from Tommy here recently. So that one I might have to chew on and figure out what to do with. In terms of one and done, which I know a lot of you are in, another very fascinating week. Last week was fascinating because it's so early in the season. You don't know if you want to burn one of your studs. Burning Morikawa would have been fine. Burning Rory certainly would have been fine as well. So now you're in the same situation this week. And I think you might need to take the top of the board a lot more seriously because I think it's incredibly top heavy. 78 golfers, no cut event. It is actually a larger purse this week than it was last week by a couple $100,000. So it's maybe an extra 40 or 50K up top with the way that gets spread out. But I might just roll out Hideki here. So there are, Hideki, mostly people save Hideki for Phoenix, but like you can really play Hideki Matsuyama at a lot of different places. Finished runner up. The only other time we saw him play this event on this course, it's going to be one where you're going to ask him to ball strike. Am I concerned about the putter? Of course I am. He just lost 9.5 strokes putting at the CJ Cup last week. Believe it or not, that's not that abnormal. 4 different times in his career, he has lost over 9 strokes putting. It's crazy. I know. It's crazy. But if he can just putt to a 0, I mean, literally, if he putts to a 0, which I know is a big ask to change just 9.5 strokes, but if he putts to a 0 last week, and the rest of it, wasn't all that good. Small gain off the tee, medium gain on approach. I'm not asking him to do that much, and a small gain around the green. Let's see what he would have finished. 9.5 strokes, give him extra 9.5. Instead of finishing T59, he would have finished like T14. Big difference, obviously. And I know it's easy to spot somebody 9.5 strokes putting and say, wow, he would have moved up 40 spots. But man, just lose 3 strokes putting, right? Just lose 2. If he loses 1, maybe that's good enough to win. I just don't know if there's a lot of incentive to save Hideki anywhere. And you know you're getting 4 grind 'em rounds from Hideki this week. You know it. He's going to play in Japan. He's going to get the hero's welcome from, I think they're doing 5,000 fans a day is what they're doing. So it's going to be bonkers. Outside of that, man, Keegan or Vegas, I guess. Would you play Rickie here? Is Rickie too risky in a one and done? I don't think so. I'd actually argue, this is pretty funny. The 2 guys that you might want to consider playing at Phoenix are Rickie and Hideki. Now, Rickie doesn't deserve necessarily that a spot saved for him with the way that he's played in the last couple of years. But if you were ever going to play these guys, you'd play them at Phoenix. Well, what about playing them here? Rickie not only had the great stats last week, he's always a great putter on bent. He's got all this stuff trending in the right direction for the last 5 rounds, but you're not really missing out on much. Like, I don't know. Okay. So the other thing is, if you play him in fantasy, he has a salary assigned to him that you probably think is too large because he got like a $3,500 price increase, and you're going to have to deal with the Rickie slappies who get him up to like 22%, something like that, right? So you're not comfortable playing him there. Are you comfortable betting him to win? No, he's down to 25-1. You're not really comfortable doing that either. So what's the natural deployment of Rickie? It's probably one and done. You're not saving him. He's one of the top 6 shortest odd players in the field. You saw good metrics from him last week. I've convinced myself on this. Rickie or Hideki. That to me is the path to success, or at least I think it might not be the path to success. I believe it to be the optimal path for one and done this week. But let me know what you think. You can leave a comment below. You can tweet me. It's at RickRunGood. Best of luck this week, and I will talk to you guys soon.